Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I am here continuing to work on my pocket idea slash reference junk journal. Again, it's just a journal full of different pocket ideas that I can do. And I'm not really decorating anything. I'm just making basic pockets, and I'm not even putting tags into everything, but I am showing you guys where the tags can go because I'm just trying to keep the bulk of my journal kind of low because I have quite a few pages. I mean, so far in this series, I mean, here's what we've done already, guys. I mean, that's quite a bit. And, you know, I'm not quite sure how all the pages will end up. I'll mix and match them and just see what fits together the best. If I'll have a couple separate journals, if I'll just do one really fat one with lots of signatures, I'm not really sure. I'm just working on the pages for right now. And so the one I have to share with you guys today, again, is one that I've only done a couple of times, but I did learn this one from... or I did see Gail Agostinelli do it, and I call it like a quilt square pocket. And here's what it looks like. I had one already pre-made. Again, I made a bunch of these when I was trying to use up or smash paper pad when I was involved in a collab. And so I did this one, and this is the one I think I'm going to put in here because I like the idea of it being sewed around. And I'm just going to hold it up really close so you guys can check it out. And it will get, you know, glued down. And then the other nice thing is I can make, even though there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets, I can still make a pocket here or here depending upon what I want to do. And so again, I'm just going to call this one a quilt square pocket. I don't really know if what Gail called it, but again, I'm going to give her credit, and I'm going to put her name on this for Gail Agostinelli, and I'm probably going to spell it wrong, just so I remember who I learned it from. And I will link Gail's channel. I'm not quite sure which video she did this one. Again, it was probably several years ago that she did this video. And I am going to, like I said, I'm going to glue this one down. But I'm going to show you how to do it because I think that's important, especially since I don't know exactly where her original video was. I think she did it like on one where she was using up 6x6 paper pads or getting rid of scraps, or I'm not even quite sure. But the paper that I'm using today, usually you'd want like coordinating paper strips. These don't quite match, I don't think, but it's what I had for scraps and I didn't want to cut up anything new. And the big thing is you want, for this one, to make it this size, and the final size is about... what is this? About 4.5 by about 4.5 square. And my paper strips are, they're 2 1/4 by 4.5. So 2 1/4 this way, 4.5 this way. And this one actually, it looks like it complicated, but it really isn't. And so we're going to glue, basically, if you have your squares down or your pieces of paper down, and you're going to lay one this way and then take another one, and we're basically just building a square, and we're kind of weaving it. So this is also kind of weaving. I don't know if you guys have ever done paper weaving before. So now this one's this way. I'm going to set this paper on top. Then the last piece of paper, except for maybe I'll do this one right here instead. And then this one's going to go on top right here, and then this piece on the left hand side here goes underneath. And so now we've basically built it. And so I like to build it, and then I will put down my glue on the corners, and we want to make a pocket here, 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 and here. So just as you're gluing things down, just kind of remember where your pockets are, and you'll be fine. So maybe we'll just start over again and I'll glue it as I go. But I just wanted to show you the basics of that one. So on the first one that we're laying down, I'm going to put glue on the outside of the on the edge, the shorter edge, the 2 1/4 edge, and then also right here on the 2 1/4 edge on this one laying down. So I'm going to line these two up. And to kind of help it along so I don't move my papers too much, I'm just going to put a little paper clip there. So again, then the next one's going to go on top. So I'm going to put glue on the 2 1/4 inch top here, or 2 1/4 inch. And then also on the top of this one. If you were doing like your sewing machine, you just run it all through your sewing machine. And my strips might be slightly off, but this is fine for just a sample. And I'm going to just stick a little paper clip again. So now this one's going to be laid on top. And so I'm going to put glue on the 2 1/4 inch side, and then also right here. I'm just going to paper clip that so it kind of holds in place for a minute. So then we have this little flap here still sticking up, and I'm just going to stick that underneath our starting piece. And on this one then, this last one, again, you're just going to go, so here's my 2 1/4 inch side, or 2 1/4 inch side. I'm going to put glue there. And then on the back side of this one, that's 2 1/4. So as long as you're putting glue on the edge of the 2 1/4 inch side, you should be fine. And I'll stick a little paper clip right there. So now I have a bunch of random tags. And so I should have 4 pockets, so I should have a pocket here. I should have a pocket right here. A pocket right there, and a pocket right here. So I think that's it's a really fun pocket. So again, I'm going to glue my old one down because I happen to like the paper on that one better than this one. This one was just so I could show you guys what it looked like. And again, the paper strips that I started with were 2 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I'm just calling it a quilt square pocket, but it also, maybe you could call it like a weaving, you know, paper strip pocket or something like this. And so when I'm going to glue this one down, I'm going to leave my top open so that I could stick another tag or something behind it. And this one I think would be a fun one to use, you know, like your 6x6 paper pads, because you could cut it down, which is what I think I did. You know, I cut in my paper strips, and then you can see the extra pieces of paper that I used to make the paper strips. There was a little bit left on the side. I was able to incorporate those into decorating my tags that coordinated. So I'm assuming that I didn't have a lot of waste on this one. And then I would also then, like I said, have a pocket up there too on this one. So I'm just going to put my little information at the bottom of that one. And again, I'm kind of giving credit to Gail on this one because I think she's probably the only person I've ever seen do this one so far. But I've copied her or used her idea several times. I've used this one several times. All right, so moving on, the next one, you guys, is not as complicated as that one. I have another very, very basic pocket to share with you guys. And this one is a good one to use up paper strips. So I had this big paper strip, and it's a little too big, as you can see, so I'm going to cut it down. And we're just going to make a very small pocket at the very bottom of our page. You know, I could have done one the long way too, but I just wanted to remind myself when I go through my reference journal here that, you know, if I have paper strips left over from whatever I'm working on, or if I'm working on a digital kit, that you can make pockets out of very, very small paper strips. You know, let me... I'm just going to glue that down. And the big thing when you do this type of pocket, when you're gluing it down, is you want to make sure that you have glue on just the very edge so that you don't accidentally glue your paper strip down. And so I would have just that small little pocket right there. You know, this would be a good pocket, like if you have a digital page that you really like the whole image and you want to see most of it, you could just put a tiny little strip at the bottom with something in it, and then you could still see it when you pull out the tag. So I'm just calling this one a basic pocket from a strip of paper. So again, that's just a very basic, very easy pocket to make. And again, you just need it the same length or width as your paper, just depending upon if you're going horizontally or vertically. So moving on to the next one, I think I still have quite a bit of time left yet. I wanted to do some full page pockets. And so I have a full page pocket, multiple pocket. And one thing that I like to do is I will, when I'm thinking about pockets, sometimes at night when I'm watching TV with my husband, I will take literally anything, any scrap piece of paper, and draw out pocket ideas, which is what I did here. You know, they're rough, they're not very pretty, but I draw them out, and then I add them into my journals. Sometimes I do that, like if I'm watching someone's video and I'm not close to my craft room with paper, with a lot of paper either, I will just draw it out and make a couple of notes, so then that way I can go back and check it out. When what I actually should do is have a journal sitting next to me when I watch TV, and I could, you know, add that into, you know, my notes into that. So the first thing that I did is I just cut a piece of paper that is the same size as my base page. And the only thing I'm going to do on this one is I think I'm going to use my envelope board here, and I'm just going to, I'm going to figure out where the middle is on the top real quick, just so I kind of have an idea. And I'm just going to put a notch in it. And so this is going to be my base pocket. So I'll be able to stick a really long journal card in this. If you knew that you're going to stick a lot of stuff into this back base pocket, you could definitely add gussets to it. I know I talked about those earlier in another video. All right, so then looking back at my drawing, then I have another little pocket that's a little further down. So again, I've chose another scrap from my stash, and it's a little bit shorter. Again, it doesn't really, the size doesn't really matter. You just need it the same width as your page, and then a little bit shorter than the page. So, you know, there's probably an inch cut off. And again, I'm going to put another little notch in it. I think this time I'm going to do it off to the left-hand side just a little bit, just to make it in a different spot. I sometimes like to stagger my little notches separately and do them in different spots. That way, if they're not all lined up, it doesn't really matter. So again, I'm going to put glue on the 3 different sides and leave the top open. So this pocket would be also another really good pocket for journaling cards or a very large tag or a very tall tag. All right, so then my next idea after I had those 2 pockets in is I wanted to do 2 angled pockets. So I have 2 more sheets of paper. And so again, this one's shorter than the top one. And so I'm just going to cut an angle. And I'm just going to go from this corner to this corner, so opposite corners. You know, I could have kept on going with, you know, the same type of pocket. I wouldn't have necessarily had to have done, you know, I could have done a square pocket here too and called it good. So I have that pocket right there. And then I'm going to do a really short one on top of that. So this one I might go I was kind of visualizing where I want it to go. So I'm going to go from this corner up top, or the point up at the top, and I'm going to go roughly to where that dark green leaf is. And we'll just take a peek and see what that looks like. Again, I don't like to do too much measuring, so I just kind of eyeball most of the things. So this would get glued down, and then this gets glued down on top. So it's kind of like a double triangle pocket with 2, you know, long pockets on this one. So I like that, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. Then I'm going to glue this piece down. You know, and again, I'm just working with paper scraps and an old paper pad from Hobby Lobby that I just kind of want to use up. So not all my pages match perfectly. I can't say that normally this would have been the color choice that I would have done, but I'm just trying to use up a couple of paper pads. And so I'm just trying to work with what I have. Like I said, I don't know that I would have chosen all these colors. And so I think that is good. And so I'm just calling this full page with 4 pockets. I don't really have a good specific name to call this one. But I would have a pocket here, a pocket right here, this pocket up here, and then that pocket up there. So there's 4 pockets. But I easily could have added 1 more in here and made it a 5-page pocket before I did these 2. So, I mean, there's all sorts of variations of that pocket that I think we could do. And let's try and get 1 more done because I have pieces for that one. And so again, here was another one that I thought of when I was sitting watching TV. Again, I don't think these are anything, you know, brand new. Other people have probably made pockets like this. It's not, you know, just something I thought about that I could use for scraps, and then I went through my scraps. So this one, I'm going to start off with a piece of paper that's the same width as my journal page, and I'm just going to choose to put a notch in the top. Again, that's just my personal preference. It doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to glue this one down. So just kind of a basic pocket. And then this one, what I want to do is I'm just going to make a little mark. I just want to know where my halfway mark is. Again, this is the same width as my journal page, but it's shorter. Because I'm going to put glue down the middle of this one because I want to make it into 2 pockets. So I'm going to put a little notch right here and a little notch right there. And again, you guys can measure. This is just my idea journal, so it doesn't have to be specific. Normally, if I wanted this to look even, I would have put this exactly in the middle, and in each side of this one, I would have made it exactly the same too. So now when I glue this one down, I'm going to put glue on both edges, the bottom and down that middle piece, because I want to make it into two pockets from this one sheet of paper. And then we'll glue it right down the middle. So now there's 2 pockets there. You know, I would, maybe choose to, if I wanted to highlight it a little bit, maybe I would put a piece of paper down the middle of this one just to make it look like it's 2 pockets, or maybe a piece of lace. I'm just looking at, what scraps I have right here on my desk, but I don't really like any of those. But again, that was kind of a 3-pocket layout from 2 pieces of paper. So I would have this big pocket back here. And I don't really have long enough tags for in here, but I would have those 2 spots for tags. So kind of a 3-pocket layout from 2 pieces of paper. And again, that was just one that I drew when I was, sitting in front of the TV last night, trying to think of some more ideas to show you guys for pockets that I hadn't done yet. And so those are my pockets for today. So again, thank you everybody so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you back for another episode of my idea reference journal, specifically looking at pockets. So until then, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.